What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Cleveland Pulse YouTube channel. I am your host, Justin Harold, as always, and with me, as always, my co-host, Jeff Santa. Today, we were going to bring you guys the recap for the pathetic showing of a game from yesterday of the Browns versus the Patriots, in which the Browns lost 15-38, which is a slight improvement from last year, but not really an improvement when you're just getting absolutely beaten by the other team and yourselves, for that matter, as well. I forget who said it yesterday or today, but it's hard to win a game when you're playing the team against you and yourselves. So,
Facts.
with that being said, 38-15. Before I get too far into this, Jeff, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. You know what? This might be a long one. This might be a deep one. Just follow along with us. Hit the like button, subscribe, and share with your friends because they're all mad too if they follow the team.
Yep. Yeah, pretty pitiful performance by the Browns. Pretty bad day to be a Cleveland fan yesterday with the Guardians as well. Game 5, did that just get delayed today?
I don't know. It should be today. It should be today at some point.
I was Michael Farmer, a former Eds grad as well, tweeted something about the Yankees being, I don't know, afraid
of. It says 7:07.
Has there been any Twitter updates? I don't know why.
I don't think so.
This is what the sky looks like right now above Yankee Stadium. There should be a decision soon as to whether Game 5 will be played tonight or tomorrow. WKYC.
Yes. The last thing we need is it being played tomorrow, but whatever. We already got one game rained out.
Yeah. So that would make for a bonus into yesterday's debacle of sports for Cleveland fans. So let's get into the Browns because at least the Guardians put up a fight. 38-15. You get beat by Bailey Zapp, rookie, but should also be known that you get beat by Bill Belichick, the superior coach of the league, or at least in this game. Man, it looked pretty decent, honestly. Not offensively, not offensively, but defensively, it looked pretty decent all the way up until the Patriots scored the touchdown in the second quarter. I will say that it was a 3 to.
They played good for one quarter.
Yeah, they played good.
So that's like normal. It's like normal for them.
Kind of. I feel like typically we let up a touchdown or 3 between the first and second quarters, but yeah. Besides the first quarter being good for the Browns, the rest of it was awful. Oh man. Starting off with a pick, that's not great.
We called it though.
I did call it.
You said no, we called it perfectly. Nail on the head. Combo tag team here at the Cleveland Pulse. You said because football mind in the room. You're like Stefanski's going to open the playbook up. Correct. And I said Belichick's going to make us pay for that because he always does every single time we play him.
Yeah, you were absolutely right. Hit the nail on the head. I did say that it's okay to throw an interception early. However, I did not say it's okay to throw a second one and fumble the football. Now, granted, things I'm used to. I was pretty used to that last year, if not worse.
Well, that's our stinker game. That's our true stinker game through 6 weeks from the offense. So, I mean, you've had stinker moments, but that's the 4 quarters of stink.
You've definitely had stinker moments
from this offense, and you're never. Let's not. I don't want to defend anybody.
I feel like the stink.
What if we put up 30? What if we put up 25? Were we still winning? Were we ever winning this game?
No. I mean,
I don't want to defend I don't want to defend anyone, but it's like you needed another A+ offensive week, and we haven't had one. Week 1, maybe week 1 you could put close to A+, closest. Let's just say if that's a ceiling on a curve. But it's like, all right, maybe the Steelers game. Well, whatever you want. Our 2 wins. Take our 2 wins. You would need that offensive performance, and you still probably would have lost.
I'm gonna keep it a buck with you.
He's keeping it a buck.
I'm probably gonna have to look into one of the losses that we had, but I don't know that either one of those. I know for a fact the first game, because remember Jacoby was really bad in that first game. Outside of the final drive that he got us into field goal range,
I mean,
so
he
that was
wasn't
his
as bad
game,
as this
though.
game, though.
He didn't. Well, yeah. Well, yeah. But listen, you were gonna need way more than just a stellar offensive performance. I think at least to win this game. Oh boy, yeah. There's no one to defend.
No, they're all suckers. Even Prefer and AJ Green are the two, and that play shouldn't even have mattered, but they're suckers too.
Nick Chubb's the only one I'll defend because it's Nick.
He's the only one I want to defend. There's nobody else on this roster. What'd you text me yesterday?
No leaders, no. Something.
There's no leaders on this team.
Yep.
Amari Cooper, how many words has Amari Cooper said all year? 2. Nick Chubb doesn't speak. You don't have any leaders.
No real accountability. And that's something that, damn it, Jeff, you beat me to it. I wanted to get into, but we're not even out of
Get into it. No, get
game.
out of this game. This game
Wasn't get out of this game? All right.
What's there to talk about?
38-15. The Browns suck.
Turned it off. Turned it off in the fourth. Bye.
All right. We're moving on. You said turned it off in the fourth, man. I was halfway to the train again in the fourth.
No worries about leaving early for this one.
No, I shouldn't have had to been worried for the Jets game. Wow, I shouldn't have had to worry for the Jets game. The Jets game, listen, hey, you know what the Jets could do? They could score 14 points in about 5 minutes. Something I don't think the Browns could do in 2 quarters, apparently.
Correct.
Man. But getting away from that game, let's just move on from that game because there's a real issue here.
Just one or multiple?
It's the team. Just speaking as the team in general, there's a real problem here. Zero accountability. Zero accountability as of right now. Now, the real question is where, if at all, will it come from? Because it's not coming from the Haslams. We've known this. The Haslams just put a program forward and they let the people underneath them battle the fights for them. Because let's be honest, the Haslams would like to view themselves as people who have never done any wrong. Thank you so much for all the great season ticket gifts you've given me and my dad. They've been fantastic.
You're going in. You're going in right here.
It makes so much sense how much money the Haslams fondle and just caress, and then they go and they give me fucking socks and a fucking painter's hat and something to put on my back of my car. I had to go out and buy the season ticket holder's hat when I was a freshman in college. That is probably the coolest hat or the coolest thing any season ticket member has had. And it happened over 5 years ago. And I don't know where that hat is right now. I'll show you guys that hat later. You've seen me wear it before. It's the only piece of Browns memorabilia. They fucking gave me this piece. Where the fuck is this piece of shit? Where is it?
Technical. We're an intermission break. Justin's losing it.
I threw it away. They gave me a plaque with Nick Chubb on it. Thank God for that thing. Wherever the fuck it may have gone. Because guess what? It's non-existent. Just like the Browns and the defense.
Just like the effort. The effort ain't there. There's no effort. The coolest thing, hold on. If we're going to keep on that tangent, the coolest thing I've ever gotten from this franchise, I had to go to Heinen's and get Nick Chubb cereal. That's the coolest thing I've ever gotten from these jokers. And that was just a Nick Chubb thing doing something for a good cause. But you're right. Here's the issue. If you look to the Haslams and whatever D Haslam, of course, we don't follow other teams like we always say, but who else in the league? It's like, oh, the wife is 50% of the owner. And I'm not even saying that to say that. Like, if the woman's the owner, that's fine. If the man's the owner, that's fine. But what other organization is it like, oh, these two married people, and who knows who's making the decision? We don't really know. We just take an educated guess. And Jimmy Haslam couldn't even beat fraud at Pilot Flying J. So if he's the beacon of hope for this franchise, you're already missing the boat. Damn. And Andrew Berry is just, you can't bite the hand that feeds you. Do you blame Andrew Berry? We'll get into it. But it's like Haslam's writing your check. What are you going to be like? No, we don't want to go after Deshaun Watson. And this isn't even a comment on that, but it's like, are you saying no to Jimmy Haslam if you're Andrew Berry? Morals, good moral people, you might think about it. If it's anything, not even the Watson thing, however you may feel about that, if it's a direction of the team, if it's you think who the leaders are in place, you're the general manager. If Haslam comes to you and says, hey, do this, you're in the owner's seat, bro. You hired me to make these decisions. Butt out. Stefanski is a product of his environment, and he just, I don't even know what the environment is. There is no environment, so he's a shell. He's basically out there kind of He's like Gary the jellyfish, whatever the hell, from SpongeBob. He comes out of his shell, goner. Nothing. If there's no shell, if he's not in this little protected box, if he has to freelance at all, joke fest. The analytics freelance all over them.
Yeah. No accountability as of right now from top to bottom. No player accountability. No general manager accountability. You can say what you want to say about the press conferences. Listen, we've been here how many times of how many different coaches where they have some sort of catchphrase or some sort of line that they pull out after a loss where it's like, we have to go back and we have to look at the tape. Listen, we haven't had a Ron Rivera here. He's not going to be like, yeah, quarterback play sucks. Or, hey, yeah, my defense sucks. You know?
He's not going to do that.
And typically, most coaches aren't going to be that. But I'd like to see a little bit of spine. I'd like to see a little bit of some fucking emotion. Because I'm sure, Kevin, I can guarantee you, at that game, Nick Chubb doesn't run the ball for maybe like a quarter or something. It feels like a quarter that the dude's not running the football or whatever. And yeah, I get it. We're down. And I can understand that. But at some point they run the ball with Nick Chubb twice. And on the first one, he gets like 10 yards and the whole crowd is like cheering, and not in like a typical cheer. It's like in this condescending, like, oh my God, you ran the football.
It was like a finally cheer.
Yeah.
They were almost, I remember what you're talking about because I'm watching the broadcast and like he ran for 10 yards and it was like, it wasn't loud. And then he went down and it was like, they realized what you guys all realized what you just saw. And then you started cheering. It was like after the play.
Yep. But no emotion from Kevin Stefanski. I think there's probably definitely quiet moments where he's emotional, but there's also just a part of me where I think like outside of when they win, it's always that cool, calculating, like no worry on my face, no worry in my tone of voice kind of thing. I just don't know if I can believe that as a player, to be honest with you. Like, and I don't know. I don't know if that's like, if you can get guys to buy into that mentality, then sure. But I feel like we're on the verge of like a Denver Broncos situation where like, what is going on with like top to bottom, like management and top to bottom, like player effort. Like I've watched some of those Broncos games with Russell Wilson and with whatever the new head coach's name is. It still escapes me to this day, but like
random, he's a nobody.
Yeah. I watch the players. Typically I try to watch the players that aren't the most like put out there because like, yeah, you're going to watch a Russell Wilson and he'll do what he wants, say what he wants. And he's being focused on. But the thing you guys aren't seeing is like the offensive linemen and them getting frustrated. Yeah, you see the wide receivers get frustrated. Typically those are the players who the skilled positions are the ones who are getting the most like, what's the word? Theatrical about things. And that's fine and all, but I think that's typically like what their MO is. Like you don't really get like the Amari Coopers like Jeff was going on about, like who are the silent strong types, whatever you want to elaborate to there. But the freaking I'm gonna lose myself because I'm like boiling.
I know what you mean,
I'm
though.
boiling at this point.
It's like but I know what you mean, though. Other teams like that watch us and they say, like, how is like Grant Delpit? How is he out there? John Johnson III on some reps. What is he doing? I've seen some of the slowest reaction times from all 22 film on Twitter today. Back views of this stupid ass sweep that New England runs in for a touchdown. And Grant Delpit, I don't even think knows where the ball is at.
No.
What now you're 2-4. Get him out. Like, all right, that's so we want to make we want to make fun of with that. We replace Jacob Phillips when Deion Jones comes back from injury. Whatever. Bring up the guy on the practice squad. Who's the practice squad safety?
LeCounte. Just put LeCounte in there.
Bye, Delpit.
Go get Moffett back.
Bye.
Go get the guys that are undrafted dudes.
Get the grinders.
Yeah, get the motivated guys. Get the guys who like. The one clip that everyone keeps posting from back in the day is the Greg Williams clip of him. I believe it's a preseason game, and he's yelling at dudes. He's like, "When I cut your ass, look at effort first. Look at effort first." Where is that? Where is that at all on this team? The fact that we could probably be sitting here with Greg Williams as the coach right now in a much better spot, just because I firmly believe that there is a thing of being a player's coach and just being a coach's GM or
like a player's manager. They're out there managing. Yes. They're not even out there coaching. They're out there micro and macro managing. And It's not even to the point where it's like, could we be better off with somebody? I'm not even on that side of the coin. The other side of the coin is you cannot be any worse. No. Can you be any worse than losing to Bailey Zappi? Sure, he might have a bright career ahead of him. Why can't we dominate a rookie? Every rookie dominates us. Why can't you handle business with Marcus Mariota? Why is Joe Flacco still haunting you? The guy's 50. Like, I'm not understanding that the quarterback talent, I've always said it, and I even felt it last year, and I felt it in the 2020 season in specific. If we have a superior quarterback, even if it's this much, you would have hoped the journeyman 9th, 8th, 7th season Brissett, whatever year he's in, can provide you with a better performance than Bailey Zappi, Western Kentucky University rookie.
Yep.
What happens?
A list of quarterbacks that we've played so far this year. Baker Mayfield. We won that game, and Brissett didn't even. Not going to get into an argument there, but you can say that Brissett, that was his first game that he played, and he didn't really play at all in the preseason. He didn't look great. Baker Mayfield maybe outplayed him, but we still won. Doesn't matter. Joe Flacco, we lost that game. The dude threw the ball 50 times the week before, and I think he threw again 50 times again to come back and beat us. Mitch Trubisky benched. And then re-put back in whatever. Marcus Mariota, career backup. Josh Herbert, Justin Herbert, good quarterback, decent. It's
arguably one of the better games we've played.
Yeah, better than Jacoby Brissett quarterback.
But he didn't kill. Like, this is what I'm not understanding. Like, in the rest of the season, whatever. But it's like, are you going to lock up Lamar Jackson and still lose? Are you going to put up a good performance and scheme Josh Allen correctly in some weird sort of small percentage chance and still lose? You played Herbert to about the best of his capabilities, and you lose.
Well, and to be fair, I don't even know though that was a game where like Herbert needed to do anything because of how well the run game for them was doing and how well the run game is doing in general. I don't know where to go from here, because am I just going to sit here for the rest of this season? I'm going to sit here for the rest of the season until week 12, 13, whatever, when Watson comes back. And I'm like, all right, well, I just want to see what this guy is about, because the season will probably be over before he ever gets this chance to step in. Now, granted, this is the NFL. You can win a game on any given day. However, when you can't beat a backup, you can't beat the New York Jets. Granted, are they 4-1 or are they 4-2?
Decent. They're top of the AFC.
And hey, if you've been here long enough, and I think I think I've said it on here about draft stuff and whatnots, and I feel like I definitely said it to Jeff. Jeff, have I told you that I really like what the Jets have been doing
Loved it.
for 2 years now?
I think if you had any football acumen, 1%, you clearly awarded the New York Jets the winner of this year's draft. Yep. Clearly, them or the Giants, and they're both playing good football.
Yep, and wow, the Giants. Listen, Daniel Jones is a very bad quarterback. He's the Baker Mayfield of the Giants right now. I think that's like very clear to say. And DeBall has done a phenomenal job reviving Barkley's career and just making that team competitive and very good. The Jets, I always thought Saleh was the guy. And man, I think the only thing I dislike that the Jets have done is go out and get the wrong quarterback. Zach Wilson, is he gonna maybe eventually be a good quarterback? Maybe. Right now, I still think he stinks, and I still think he doesn't look good, but they're a winning team, and we're not. And I would even argue that Jacoby Brissett is a better quarterback than Zach Wilson. Probably not. Probably a hot take. But at the same time, I know what I should be getting with Jacoby Brissett. I know what I should be getting with this team offensively. And I should have known by now, in 3 years of a system, what I should be getting out of Joe Woods. And last year, the first 8 games of the season were terrible. We played very bad. Our defense was bad. We let up multiple games where I think our opponents scored 40 points on us in the first 8 games, multiple. And you finished the latter half of that season off. It wasn't anything like 2020, but you finished it off a little bit better defensively than you started.
Trending upwards.
And then you go back to the fucking same thing. In the beginning of the fucking season,
it's like we forget. It's like we don't do anything in the offseason. There's no innovation.
What happened? Did we install new defense? All we did was go out and get one cornerback. All we did was go out and get one quarterback, and we said, hey, Greg Newsome, first-round pick last year, slot inside. And this is where we're going to start getting into Andrew Berry talk a little bit. But the talent on this team, I don't even know if it's talented anymore. I have no idea if it's talented or if it's just us putting the blinders on and just thinking, hey, Andrew Berry is godsend and has gone out and done a ton of miraculous things. Granted, and this is the take now, is that things are bad and they can only get better. Now, if they're bad, they stay bad, then we're going to have something to talk about this offseason. If Watson comes back and things are still bad, we as fans better hope that things turn around very quickly when Watson comes back, or that things are already changed before Watson comes back. If Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry, they should probably be in a room right now discussing, hey, bye week comes around, let's get Joe Woods out of here. Let's save our asses for another season, Because in my mind, you go the whole season with this roster, this coaching staff, and I'm not going to say the faculty. The faculty is it's just Andrew Berry and the deep Podesta.
Training staff sucks, though. Fire the training staff.
We've been over this.
Where's the hot yoga? But here's the thing. And honestly, we're 6 weeks in, third of the way into the season, more than. And through 6 games, there's so many question marks after every game. I'm going to officially pivot because not because out of laziness. I'll admit it. I'm going to pivot out of laziness because I can't figure it out. I can't figure out whose fault broken coverages are. I can't figure out why the play calling distribution is the way it is. I can't figure out what Alex Van Pelt does. I can't figure out why special teams sucks. So I'm just going to say that the onus is officially on the fans. We did it. We did it to ourselves. You have one good season. If you want to call it a fluke, I'm still not writing it off as a fluke. There's nobody in the stands. You win a playoff game. And it seems like there's an image of competence in the organization. Stefanski wins Coach of the Year. Andrew Berry, there's really no question marks about him. And we did it to ourselves. We expected that was going to continue, and we were wrong. We've been wrong before, and I'll just admit it, that we were wrong. And if you don't want to admit you're wrong, if you out there in the watching in the audience, that's fine. If you got faith in this team, but if it was really true that everybody in this locker room loved Deshaun Watson, which it might be, and everybody in this locker room knows, hey, you're not living under a rock. He's coming back week 12. You get 3 divisional games with them, the AFC North. Where's the effort? You should be grinding every week. Okay, we won this one. One week closer to getting our boy back. Okay, we won this one. Let's go. Let's play harder next week. It hasn't looked like that at all. You can blame whoever. I can't even figure out who to blame anymore. So I'm just going to blame myself.
No accountability.
Because I thought that this was going to be, something that we could overcome to a certain extent. And I thought this defense was going to stay on some sort of semblance of respectability. Wrong.
Jeff, did you see the story about there was a game last night, a very, if you watch football and you don't just watch the Browns, the Chiefs versus the Bills. Now, if we all recall, last year, Chiefs and Bills have a pretty intense playoff game. Bills lose, unfortunately, in my mind. And, they come back, and this season, this is their first time playing the Chiefs. Jeff, do you remember Jordan Poyer?
I do.
It's crazy how well his career has, taken a turn. He used to just be like a bum.
One of the better defensive players in the league.
He is a phenomenal player, and that's a guy who is, if I'm not mistaken, was either a undrafted player or he was drafted very late. Mm-hmm. Very late. He develops into a star player. He plays for the Bills, one of the Bills' best players. He gets hurt, and the team or the NFL does not allow him to fly to Kansas City. So what does this guy do? He hires a taxi service to drive him 15 hours so that he can be there for that game. Now, I'm not trying to, this is going to come off in the wrong way. I'm not trying to bash a guy like a Myles Garrett who gets hurt in a car accident.
He can't even make it home. This guy's driving 15 hours to the game. Myles Garrett can't even make it home.
He can't go to the game. That's my thing. He goes to the facility 2 days later, but he can't go to the game. He can't play in the game. I mean, and then the week after he plays, and it's whatever. Here's my thing. Was the Anthony Walker injury way worse than I interpreted it? Because at least he came back. There is no guarantee that dude is going to be on this team next year. But Anthony Walker was back at practice as soon as he could be after his injury. And I'm thinking he's the only accountable leader there. Correct. He's the only guy that can turn a switch on for the guys around him. Because apparently Myles Garrett can't do it. He can't get Clowney to play. He can't get – when he's the only guy on that defensive line, he can't do anything. And luckily he got strip sack. Finally got one of those again.
Finally.
And then gets a meaningless sack towards the end of the game. I'm just looking – and he's the best player now, He's because you're never going to get it out of Denzel Ward. I know for a fact you're never going to get sound bites or significant, riling up of other players around him. He is very much an individual guy who he wants the success of his team, but at the same time knows that the cornerback position is almost a pretty, solo independent, job. He got called out week 1 or week 2, and then went online and talked about it. And same thing with Grant Delpit. These guys are all about the blame game on everyone else, or we're just not talking. There is no
communication.
There's no standing up. There's no being like, I'm going to take this, or I'm going to say what's going on, what's wrong. Myles Garrett did it last year and then got pulled over by Kevin Stefanski and then was immediately reprimanded for it.
Myles Garrett does it when it's easy, though. He doesn't do it when it's hard. He does it when Perion Winfrey is late to probably a couple meetings, speculation, and they suspend him from practice. Wow. I hope you could stand up at the podium and say that we want to run this, I need you to be accountable for your job first. Half the roster can't even do that. Then I need you to be accountable for the guy standing next to you with the helmet and the pads on for his job, because he's probably the guy who's not accountable for his job. Okay, that, you did your job. Congrats. When that direct deposit hits, that's because hopefully you did your job. The other stuff, the winning, the Super Bowl rings, the victory, the glory, the fans cheering and not booing, it's not coming. It's
the
not
franchise in sacks.
It's not coming in the bank. It's coming up here. It's coming right here. It's not coming in the bank.
Listen. We can't even talk about the guys like Nick Chubb, who week in, week out, they give everything to this team, and it's just well, Nick, you did your part. See you later. Jeff talked about it a lot. With the whole move, with moving on from Baker last year, moving on from Baker the year before, it's do you want to waste years anyway of specific players' careers?
Either way, we were doing it.
Now we're here. Nick Chubb is probably going to, for once, win the and I'm probably jinxing it now, but they probably jinxed it yesterday.
Correct.
But he's on track to being the best rusher in the league this year. And it's probably going to be for nothing except for him. And he won't care, because that's the one guy on this team that has accountability and has leadership ability. But at the end of the day, he plays the least significant position on this team, the least significant, role on this team, because at the end of the day, I still believe it. I still think the offensive line should be good enough to get the job done. They weren't yesterday, and unfortunately, really Nick still made a lot happen.
Right.
But he's in the worst spot possible. No, fault on his half, because he played running back. Unfortunately, we're in a league where you want to throw the ball way more than you run the ball. And your running backs aren't the highest paid players in the league. It's your quarterbacks, it's your cornerbacks, it's your defensive ends. And unfortunately, Nick Chubb, I'm so glad that he's the way he is as a person, because I'm not afraid that he's going to leave for some money reason. Right. I've always thought he was going to be off this team because the team, in their minds, feel running back isn't important. Like the rest of the league, or they can go get another one, or they have Kareem Hunt, or they can build another one with Dearness Johnson, or with kid out of Cincinnati. Don't screw him for. There we go. But I don't even know where to go with this. What are we doing? What are we doing with the rest of this year? Should we just be looking at free agents? Should I be asking from the defense how many players are returning next year? How many people should be on this team next year from the starting defense this year to next year? Because I probably got 3 guys, and it's Myles Garrett and
probably 4.
Clowney.
Probably 5.
JOK.
Denzel.
And Denzel?
Martin Emerson.
Are we John? Why did we trade Troy Hill away? Troy Hill was one of the better players from last year, and
Joe Woods couldn't even use him right. He still played good.
He played really fucking good last year. He was probably, I think he was one of our best players last year.
He's a guy that
top 5 player.
It's just
last year.
I feel like everybody from last year who had experience and had a considerable amount of snaps underneath their belt, either they were jokers and they were getting carried by the other guys, or they're not on the roster anymore. Troy Hill, Malik Jackson. Like, there's no experience on the D line, especially when Clowney doesn't play, and especially if Miles isn't 100%. You have no snaps in the middle. The D tackles have no snaps. The linebackers in the NFL landscape, they have no snaps without Anthony Walker. JOK don't have any snaps. Jacob Phillips doesn't have any snaps. The safeties, John Johnson's a fraud. He's a fraud. He's overpaid. He's officially overpaid. He needed to be in an elite defense. He was a product of that elite defense. And Delpit is lost. He's out there lost halftime. Greg Newsome is going to still make rookie mistakes. Denzel Ward, for Christ's sake, is still going to make rookie mistakes. Martin Emerson's trying his best. He's kind of just out there playing. He's just raw talent. He doesn't even know what's going on. Joe Woods has no idea what his capabilities are. He's just out there trying to be a better athlete than the guy he's covering. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and you go on with your life.
Jeff, before the season started, we didn't do predictions like we did last year. That's for sure. And I'm very glad for it because I know I got not into it, but I know on Twitter I talked to people about like, hey, like those first 6 games, they're a little tricky. Like they're a lot trickier than what people were making it out of. And not even that I said it was tricky. I was just like, anything can happen in the NFL is what I was thinking. Correct. And I told people at worst, you could be 2-4. At best, you could be 5-1.
Mm-hmm. Should be probably 4-2.
Realistically, you should be 4-2, 3-3. Minimum. I do not know what should I do for the next couple weeks. I am a season ticket holder. Should I go to Monday Night Football? Should I go watch the Bengals, the team that we've practically owned for the past 2-3 years, even with Joe Burrow? Should I go to that game on a Monday night when I know I have to wake my ass up at 5 o'clock in the morning the next day to go and get ready for work and go work in the morning? And what is now starting to become cold, miserable weather in Cleveland, Ohio. Do I go to this Bengals game? Listen, I might not even get to the thought of that because the Ravens game is going to come and go, and I'll have made a decision by then. I will have made a decision before that game because I need to sell the damn tickets if I'm going to sell them. I need to know. But at the same time, what happens if they beat the Ravens? Could be completely different. We could come back here next week, Monday, and be completely flipped around. We could be saying, oh, my God, look at the Browns. We didn't think they could do it. Definitely don't think they can do it right now. I really
it's still over. It's not over for me, but it's still like, okay, sure, you beat the Ravens. Like, I mean, every week, this week was a must win at home. Can't do it. Of course, next week's going to be a must win. You already have 5 losses if you lose next week. I mean, anything can happen. Obviously, like the NFL, but it's like I'm not going to get over the Jets loss. I'm not going to get over basically, dominating Atlanta pretty much the whole game except for our run defense that we can't win. I'm not going to get over being in the Chargers game and not being able to get the job done. I can't get over those 3 games. So I'm fine with the clunker this week. In retrospect, if the other games didn't go how they go. Okay, you tell me before the season, one of the first 6 games we're going to have a clunker. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. But I didn't know the other 3 losses were going to be for 4, 5, 6 points.
A cumulative of not even double digits. Yeah. Here's my thing. This is the worst possible situation for Kevin Stefanski. Unless Jimmy Haslam has already, and this is very, very, very possible. And I would 100% believe that this conversation has happened, and I would not put it past Jimmy Haslam, is that he went and after the Deshaun Watson verdict came out on how many games he was going to be suspended, I can completely believe that Jimmy just went, all right, whatever happens this season happens. We'll be back next year.
Thinking back on it, they probably loved the Deshaun Watson decision. It riled up enough controversy for them. Sure, it breaks the bank a little bit, but whatever, 250 M's guaranteed. You're worth billions of dollars. Who really gives a rat's ass? And, you have a scapegoat for Barry. You have a scapegoat for Stefanski. Not that they should have ever needed it. Not that they still ever need it. But it's like, okay, 11 games, you feel like the NFL kind of did you dirty, regardless of how you feel about the situation, because they hired the independent judge who gave out 6 games, and then they went back on the independent judge they hired to give them 11 games. So it was kind of like if you were watching the situation with your eyes and you were impartial to the Browns, you kind of felt like the Browns, not even that the Browns got screwed, but the NFL just gets their way, which is the case. But it's like they probably love the decision because so what? So what if you're 4-7 when he comes back? If you're 3-8, so what? Anything he does from there on is a bonus. If you're in a good spot to win, then you're in a good spot to win with 6 games left. If you're in a bad spot to win, you're like, who really cares? Even if he looks bad, you got a scapegoat into next year. Stefanski's the coach for this year. Stefanski's the coach for next year. Talk to me in 24. And I don't care what happens with Joe Woods. I don't care what happens with Mike Prefer. The guys don't want to play for him anyway.
Well, you would care if they got fired. Like you'd be happy.
But I mean, that's what I'm saying. I don't care if they fire Joe Woods. I don't care. Oh, we don't want to fire people midseason. I don't care. Who cares?
Would you be happier if it happened now or later?
At this point, later, because I wanted him fired 2 weeks ago because you needed to win last week's game and you needed to win this week's game. I needed a spark to win one of these games. The spark is, if you want to do it this week, I don't care what you do, but at this point, you might as well wait if you want to put together this box of stability, but it's like you needed a spark to win one of these games, and now you're behind the 8 ball anyway.
So, I want to start wrapping up here because
sure,
I'm losing my mind.
Blood pressure's through the roof
on a Monday. So let's say they keep everything the way it is now,
and they
end up below 500 at the end of the season. Is everyone gone except, and I say everyone, Prefer and Woods? Are they gone for sure?
Woods is gone for sure.
We're below 500. Are they both gone?
I don't know. I don't know what they think of Prefer because I don't really know what Prefer does. I don't know what they think of Van Pelt, but I think right now
Van Pelt's the luckiest man in the world. He's not going to get fired. What is he going to get fired for? Not doing his job? What's his job? What did he do wrong? Jamie, what did he Andrew, can you really quickly
quarterback coach not having Jacoby coached up? Fire
what was the reasoning behind the Alex Van Pelt firing? Well, you see, Justin, the thing is, I didn't even know what position he was coaching. I'm gonna. They said quarterbacks, but he was just snapping the ball like he was under center.
Out of since we've started doing this, out of everybody in the Cleveland sports landscape, do you truly dislike? Is Van Pelt the top, the most hated of yours?
No, I don't hate the dude. I don't know what the fuck he's doing. What is he doing? He's not even holding the paper up to his mouth like he's calling plays. His might be a Denny's menu. He might actually be the direct picture of Peter Griffin from Family Guy on a Sunday, holding up a Denny's menu for all I know. What does he do? He coaches the quarterback. He played quarterback at Alabama. Was this before Saban was there? Before Alabama was like a notable program or something? And he was the quarterback coach for Andy Dalton. And I guess at some point for Aaron Rodgers, when Aaron Rodgers was an already established fucking Hall of Famer GOAT.
Stefanski just wants to give him the check. That's his buddy.
He hired Van Pelt, and he knew in his mind when he hired Van Pelt, he's like, I'm gonna get my way. I'm gonna call all the plays. Is true. You're gonna sit there and be my fucking scapegoat.
Yep, that is
and
true.
He's not a scapegoat, but
he's a figurehead.
Dude just doesn't do nothing.
I would love to know like what these people actually think behind the scenes though. Like on the last note, like what is Joe the more Joe Woods speaks, and I don't even wake up to choose violence. I don't wake up to be disrespectful to people, but like I just don't think bro is very smart. I think he's like close to dumb. And just by the way he talks, if he would say competent shit, I would not think but he's like, oh, we have the talent to be top 5. Like, you just threw yourself under the bus.
Yeah.
Do you want out? If he wants fired because he's sick of the headache, then he's the genius. He's the smart one. But if what's that?
That's my idea. My idea is like, hey,
just resign.
You have a game Sunday. I'm pretty sure typically Monday, there's no practice. It's review, film, whatnot. I don't know if the coaches come in before or after, or of course they come in, not after, but if they come in like an hour or 2 hours before and have like a coaches meeting and review the tape. Could you imagine, like, what is Kevin Stefanski doing? Flipping through. This is literally. Listen, I went through film practice. This is the coach, and this is him the entire time. Oh fuck! I just flipped my. I didn't mean to do that. I wanted to do this. It's like, all right, so this play here, Harold, what the fuck did you do? I didn't fill the gap between the double team. You didn't fill the gap between the double team. -points.
Right, what does he say to Joe Woods?
Let me think what happens with Kevin and Joe here. All right, they'll pick, letting the dude just pissing. What's the meme? Pissing down his leg. Too scared to run at the guy.
Yeah, too scared. Not big enough. Not really an athlete.
Joe. Oh, guys. Where's Joe?
Joe's in the bathroom.
Did he come in today? All right, I forgot.
They're probably
today's his off day, guys. I'm sorry.
They're probably like a think tank in there, and everything we want them to be is probably how they act, how they think they are behind closed doors. Stefanski, they probably show the film. They probably show Delpit, no reaction time, sweep for the touchdown he gives up. He doesn't even see where the ball's at. And Kevin looks over at Joe. He's like. Just needs more accountability next time. He just needs to be better on the next rep. And Joe Woods is like, yeah. And Kevin's like, all right. He's like, I'm glad we sorted that out. And then they go on with their lives.
45 minutes.
That's it. The game was 3 hours long.
We could keep going. We could keep going, Jeff. Trust me. But
I know.
For the sake of having a little bit of humanity for the rest of this week and not lashing out or whatever at work at somebody who,
to lash out,
just trying to, Jeff, you put it perfectly. I don't wake up in the morning and want to be negative. I haven't been that way in so long. I don't want to be negative. I don't want to be mad when I wake up. I don't want to be pissy when I wake up or whatever. But the Browns make me that way. The Browns quite literally just, more than any franchise, I know people are basketball fans. I know people are baseball fans. I'm sure the Guardians and the Cavs have upsetted people at times, but no team has ever made me as violently angry as I have been with this Browns team. They went 0-16, 1-15, and I wasn't angry.
Nope.
Was I like depressed? Yeah. Yeah, a little.
I totally know what you mean. I totally agree with what you're talking about. Ever since that stupid ass playoff win, and it's the nature of the NFL because I got to wait 6 days to see it again. Cavs lose, off night, and then we're playing the next night. It's like, all right, bounce back. Let's go. I got to wait six days for this dumbass team to trot their dumbass selves out there. Oh, I got to hear 92.3 The Fan, WTAM 1100 like this. Oh, Tony Grossi, all of them. And they're all there just to feed into the nonsense every single week. And I think the team, it's a magnet. The team is just a magnet for nonsense, and they emulate it in football form.
Yep. All right. Well, everyone, 45 minutes. If you guys came here for a recap of the game and stayed to this, whatever this is going to be called or referred to, thank you. Hopefully you were there for us when we were at our lowest, and you'll be here with us for our highest when the Cavs begin to play basketball. And God, hopefully, I'm not going to say anything about the Guardians because I'm not going to jinx it, but God, can't wait for the Cavs to start here. But that all being said, if you haven't already, go like and subscribe and leave a comment about how joyful you are for the Browns existing. Because God, I know I am.